Welcome to Called Voices in STEM, the podcast that highlights the experiences, challenges, and career stories of women in STEM. Join us as we explore the stories of these inspiring women and learn more about the diverse contributions they are making to the world of science. Here is your host, Dr. Chloe Lim.
Hi everyone, this is Dr. Chloe Lim, and you're listening to Called Voices in STEM, a podcast that highlights the experience, challenges, and career stories of culturally and linguistically diverse women in STEM. Before we get started today, I'd like to acknowledge the traditional custodians of the land on which we're meeting today, the Ngunnawal people, and pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging, and acknowledge the really deep contribution that they make to the life of our city and our region. This is our first inaugural episode of the Called Voices in STEM podcast, and I'm very excited and honored to have Dr. Shamaruh Mirza with me today as our first podcast guest. Dr. Shamaruh is a co-founder of SiTara Story. She has been awarded the 2023 ACT Local Hero Award and was a finalist for the Australia Day Local Hero Award for the positive impact of her volunteer work. She also received 2021 ACT Mental Health Month Award, was a finalist for the ABC Canberra Community Spirits Award in 2021. Dr. Shamaruh Mirza is a senior regulatory scientist working in the Department of Health and Aged Care. Welcome, Shamaruh, to our podcast today.
Thank you so much, Chloe, for inviting me today. It's an honor.
Yeah, and I'm really excited to have you here with us today. We've actually gone a long way, I think. We graduated PhD together, didn't we?
Yeah, that's true. It's been a while, and we are trying to coordinate, our lives just waiting for the right moment. And here we are.
Yes, absolutely. No, I think it's a huge privilege for us to be hearing your story today. So can you share a little bit more about your background and how you became interested in STEM?
Thank you, Chloe. I am originally from Bangladesh. If you know that Bangladesh is a small country, it's in Asia, and I was born and brought up in Dhaka, the capital of Bangladesh. And if I want to tell you my background, I think the second question you just asked, that why I became interested in STEM, both the answers are interlinked. So I will just touch everything all together. So I was born in a family where most of my uncles, aunts, my dad, mom, all studied everything but science. So my dad studied economics, my mom studied political science, my aunt, they studied the language. So it's very interesting. My grandpa studied law. So when I was growing up, I don't know why, I was quite interested about biology, how human brain works. I always wanted to know the things behind logical mind. And there was another reason, Chloe, I have to admit that when I was growing up, only smart people studied science. So I thought, okay, I need to act smarter than everyone else. So I have to study science. So there was that reason as well. But anyway, you had to get really, certain level of marks where you can study science. So that's the case back then. And then I started studying science, and I did my honors in biochemistry and molecular biology from the University of Dhaka. And while I was doing my honors in the University of Dhaka, I wanted to pursue my higher studies in USA. But then 2001 happened, if you remember. Twin Tower happened. Mm-hmm. And then America closed its doors to Muslim youth. So I couldn't go to America, but here I am in Australia. So I did my master's in biotechnology and biopharmaceuticals from the University of New South Wales. And I did my PhD in the Australian National University. And then while I was writing my thesis, I got a postdoctoral fellowship to work under Professor Angela Dulhunty in biophysics. So that is my background. And that's why I think, as I told you, that I always wanted to know the reasons behind logical mind, and human biology attracted me a lot. So that's why I studied science.
Oh, wow. I mean, it's quite amazing, isn't it? How your interest in science is so diverse from your family. Because a lot of the
Yes.
times you might find that, if your dad's a scientist or your mom's a scientist, you're more likely to be a scientist as
Yeah.
well. But here
Yeah.
you went the other way.
I think, Chloe, this is not the case anymore. I think, because let me tell you one thing. Like, I'm a scientist, my husband is a scientist, but my daughter wants to be an actress. So you can see probably the children get so much repulsed by the parents, enthusiasm or interest. They want to do something else. Probably that's what happened to me.
It's like, I don't want to do what mom and dad is doing. I just want to do something different.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly.
So
Enough science.
yeah. So how about your brothers? Do you have siblings, brothers and sisters?
I have a sister. She's younger. She's younger than me, but no, she did not study science. She studied political science. Yes. She
Okay.
followed the path of my mom.
And how are your parents about you studying science? Are they supportive, or what do they think about you studying science?
My parents never, ever interfered with anything that I wanted to do. But my dad, he wanted me to study economics because he studied economics. And he always thought, because I used to do a lot of debate, I used to participate in many debate competitions. And that's why I needed to study politics, international relations, social science as well, only for my debating activities. So he always thought that I would do really good in economics or international relations. So when I chose to study science, he was surprised, but he never, stopped me.
Yeah, no, I think it's so important to have parents who are supportive of our goals and our dreams, isn't it? And it's I think it's one of the key things with helping engage children in science as well, is for parents to see that they have that potential and that interest in science, and to encourage that interest in them, isn't it?
That's true.
Awesome. So can you share with us a project or an achievement that you're really proud of in your STEM career?
Yes, of course. I think my proudest moment when I got graduated, the PhD graduation ceremony, that was my proudest moment in my life, because I was the first person in my family to have the PhD degree. And you know about PhD degree, Chloe. I mean, how difficult it is, and how, we had to work really hard. If you remember those lab days, nights.
Yes.
I used to have nightmares, after doing lab work. I used to have nightmares that I'm doing lab work again. So it was very challenging, difficult. But I think the day that I was awarded the PhD degree, that was the proudest moment in my life, because I thought that it's worth all the hard work, all the challenges, all those sleepless nights. They were all worth. So yes, that's the proudest moment in my life.
Yeah. Was there a key challenge during your PhD that you're so proud that you've overcome?
Yes. My PhD was exploring the receptor ligand interaction. So you know about leukemia, allergy, inflammation. And in our body, there are like hundreds of proteins that do regulate all these mechanisms. So my PhD was specifically about interleukin 3, 5, and GM-CSF. I wanted to know how these interleukins interact with the receptors. And if there are mutations in these receptors, what happens? So there was one study that I had to do to explore this receptor ligand interaction. And that study involved using radioactive ligands. I know these are all scientific terms, but I know that you would understand those terms, So, and to perform that specific study, what I had to do, I had to stand behind a radioactive shield for 3 hours, and just standing and behind the radioactive shield and adding the chemicals, the ligands, into 60 test tubes.
Oh, gosh.
And it needed to be so precise that if there was a single error, I needed to repeat the experiment.
Oh, goodness.
So, yes, I know. So I just told you about nightmares. I literally had nightmares of doing these experiments days after days. So it
Yeah.
was very, very difficult for me. So this particular experiment was very challenging for my research project
Mm.
because this experiment did reveal the data that was needed for my thesis
Mm.
and the interaction and everything. So I did, I think, hundreds of these studies in those 4 years of PhD. So I will never ever forget this experiment, but I am so proud of myself that yes, I had to repeat many times, but I did finish them and I did produce the thesis.
Oh, I think that's the thing, isn't it? People don't realize that when you're doing a PhD, it's a lot of repetition,
Absolutely.
especially with experiments, when experiments
Yeah.
go wrong and you have to
Yeah.
repeat it again. And I mean, how much tenacity you need to have in order to stay behind a radioactive shield for 3 hours to add
Yes.
solutions.
Yes, absolutely.
It reminded me of my time of when I had to do lots of real-time PCRs.
Oh, I
Yeah,
see.
yeah.
Yes,
So
I remember those days as well. The
yes.
PCR, RT-PCR.
So
Did you get to design your own primers?
yes, yeah, I designed my own
Yes.
primers and I
Yes.
had to I did 384 well plates as well, lots and
Well
lots of,
done.
yes. So I can
I know
completely
exactly where you're
understand.
coming from.
I know it's those are some of the challenges in science, isn't it? It's just just
Yes.
having to repeat experiments and then getting
Yes.
that data out. Yes. So
Yes.
kudos on,
And also,
yeah.
and the radioactive, those experiments were challenging for a different reason as well, for health reasons, because I had to be extra cautious that I don't get exposed to those radioactive ligands because this might hamper my future plans and everything,
Of
that.
course.
Yeah, so I was being really, really cautious. So that was another aspect of those experiments.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I don't think it's like this challenges with work health and safety, designing
Yeah.
experiments, running the experiments, lots of challenges for sure. Now, we've got challenges in just the science itself, but how about challenges that you would have faced as a culturally diverse woman in STEM? Have you come across some challenges being culturally diverse?
That's an interesting question, Chloe. I'm saying it's interesting because if you ask me, as a woman, I mean, I didn't face challenges when I was in Australia. But when you say culturally, linguistically diverse women, there are a few factors that I might want to talk about. Look, I'm from Bangladesh and I come from a Muslim family, and if you know that coming from a developing country, there are many factors that already present in our lives. And it's like we do feel more responsible for our families, or we do have lots of commitments and issues already present in our lives. So doesn't matter that how much you want to pursue your career in STEM, it is demanding. Career in STEM itself is quite demanding. It's time consuming. As I said, that I had to stand behind the radioactive shield for 3 hours, and it's very much demanding, and it does interfere with your family life, with your personal life and everything. And coming from a developing country, there were issues for obvious reasons that I had to face while I was pursuing my career in STEM. So there are like cultural issues that I had to prioritize, probably my cultural commitments, family commitments, and that did cause some interruption in my research career. So these are a few challenges that I had to face as a woman from culturally, linguistically diverse background. But if you ask me whether I face challenges as a woman, to be specific, I did not. No, I did not, especially in Australia. But this is not the case for everyone, Chloe. We have to remember that. I come from a privileged liberal family, but this is not the case for all families, because I know many women who did want to pursue their career in STEM, coming from developing countries, who could not, who had to leave their PhD because they had to raise their children. That was the requirement from their families. So, yes, even though I did not need to face anything myself, but I know there are women, my friends, who unfortunately could not pursue their career in STEM. Just because it's very demanding, it's very demanding. You have to be very committed, very dedicated if you want to pursue your career in STEM.
Absolutely. And I think that definitely plays a lot into a lot of women's lives, not just one who is culturally diverse as well, because it really, I guess, depends on the value. So if they have family as a top value in their life, then they're likely to make the sacrifice that is needed in order to fulfill that value and also the commitment that they have made to their family as well. So
no, you're right. And I did learn one thing in my life, Chloe. You may disagree with me, or that you cannot have it all. I mean, you can dream for all, but I do always encourage everyone to dream high. But at the end, I think you cannot have it all.
Can be a challenging thing, isn't it? I think sometimes it depends on what it is. I don't think maybe sometimes you can't have it all at the same time. Perhaps what you can do is, set the steps up so that you can have what the goals that you have come along and achieve it in the time frame that is suitable for, your life stages, your family life. So it really depends, I guess, on what people think success is for them. Everyone has their own version and definition of success.
Yeah. Yes, that's true. And I think you need to set one goal. You need to prioritize your goals. So that's very important. When I say that you cannot have it all, that means that you may want to have 10, you may want to achieve 10 goals in your life, but still you need to prioritize them. You cannot have them all on one single moment. So that's very important. You need to prioritize your goals.
Yeah. I agree with that because everyone has the same amount of hours in a day. We all have 24 hours. We all have 7 days. And we all have different things that are important to us that we need to focus on as well. And I believe that there's always, I think that you're at a stage in your life for a reason. And when the time comes for you to move on to something else, then, opportunity will open up, doors will open up. And, you hopefully will be prepared for it by then.
Right. No, that's right. But it's important to find your voice. I mean, you need to know your calling. That's important. I always tell to other people that you need to know what you want to have in your life. That's very important.
Yes, I agree. I think a lot of people find that a challenge, clarity around what they really want in their life. And that is one of the things that I think it's important to figure out. And I think it's an evolving process as well. It's not like suddenly you decided, oh, this is the goal I want to pursue. This is the person I want to be. Things change and then your goals may change as well. So there needs to be some level of flexibility around that too, eh?
Absolutely. I do agree with that.
So it's interesting to hear how you've got friends who choose to, I guess, to follow their family commitments. And perhaps I'm wondering if there's any way that perhaps we could be supporting them a bit more in pursuing their career in STEM.
Yes. I mean, if you ask me, I personally, I always like to start a conversation with anyone I think that in need of having a conversation. I think that's the first step. So it's not only about career in STEM. I have seen many women around me who were not being able to pursue their career. Doesn't matter whether it's in STEM or in finance or anything, for family reasons. So I always like to have the conversation, and I try to encourage them to prioritize their goals. As I just said, that what do they want to achieve in their lives? are they sacrificing too much, not pursuing their own career? And is it causing an impact on their mental health? And when your mental health is impacted, it does make an impact in your day-to-day life, your family life, and everything. It's just like a cycle. If you can't, pursue something that you always dreamt of, it does make an impact in your life. So I told you that, and you already mentioned that we run a nonprofit organization called SiTara Story. So we create a safe space where women from cultural, linguistically diverse background can come and talk about anything without being judged, without any fear. So we get to know about many women, who could not pursue their career, be it in STEM or in other areas. But then what we do, we have our educators who try to encourage them to just find their own voices and what's important in their lives. And we just want them to be confident enough. I think that's the first step. What I do, that I always tell women around me, that you need to the first step is that you need to believe yourself. You need to have faith in yourself, and the self-esteem is the most important thing. If you have low self-esteem, then you cannot do anything anywhere, be it your career or your family life. So that's very important. And I always tell my own daughter, who wants to be an actress, by the way, that that you need to have your chin up. That's very important. Don't let anyone to ruin your life saying that you cannot do it. And so we have reached a certain stage in our lives that when we need to tell the future generation, we need to have the conversations with our future generations more and more. That's very important. Our children, their friends, and especially the daughters. Daughters need us a lot, because this is not a fair world at the end. And it's not only about called women, Chloe. It's not a fair world for women, more or less. So we need to encourage them to pursue their dream. And there's another thing I would like to mention here, that I went to a girls' school myself. And for the reason was that when you go to a co-ed school, this might not be the case everywhere, but when you go to co-ed school, there's like a stereotyping thing, like boys would always study science, STEM, whereas girls would go for art, music, and something. Whereas my parents encouraged me to go to a girls' school only so that I can avail all the opportunities. I can choose myself what I wanted to study. Whereas if probably this is not the case everywhere, but back then my parents thought that. But while I was reading some articles just a few days back, I realized it's the same case still now, that in co-ed schools, the boys are they tend to go for STEM sciences, same subjects, whereas the girls not. And I don't know why. It's not that girls cannot study music. They can if they want to, but I want opportunities to be equal for everyone.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. The thing is, I think that girls, I think that's why it's really important to invest in girls and to encourage them to study science, or at least explore STEM careers. Because different people have different passions and interests, but to give them the opportunity to explore analytical, critical, and scientific thinking skills. I think these skills, this sort of skills, are important to everyone.
Absolutely.
These are the skills I think everyone should have, because we're living in a world where a lot of news may not necessarily be true. And we need to equip ourselves in order to be able to think critically and look at the evidence before we make a judgment about something. So, I absolutely agree that, it's really important to support girls and to encourage them to be able to see the potential in them and to reach for their goals and dreams. So
No,
hopefully
true.
we'll see your daughter as an actress on a TV show or in a movie at some point in this life, in her life.
She's just a big fan of Emma Watson, Harry
Oh,
Potter.
I see.
So Hermione. So apparently Emma Watson is an actress. She's a lawyer, an activist. Now she wants to be all. I'm fine.
Well, why
you
not?
can be all. I tell her you can be all.
You can be all. Absolutely. You don't have to be one single person.
Exactly.
So I'm curious. I think, sometimes for a woman or a girl to be inspired by STEM women, I think it helps for them to have mentors and sponsors as well in their life. Have you been
That's
able to
true.
find mentors or sponsors who have supported your career growth?
Yes, I was able to, find a wonderful mentor in my life. And Chloe, all the mentors I had in my life were all women. That's really amazing. I mean, when I was growing up, one of my aunts, she's a very famous scientist in Bangladesh, and she's actually quite internationally famous scientist, Dr. Kadri, and she did inspire me a lot. I mean, she is a microbiologist, so probably that's another reason why I studied biochemistry and molecular biology. So I was very much influenced by her. And what I just told you, that she always told me exactly the same thing. If you really want to achieve something in life, whatever it is, you need to have a logical mind. That's why you need to have a very clear understanding of mathematics, science, how the world works, how human body operates and everything. So she always inspired me. So not only her, when I was studying for my honors, I had a couple of professors. Both of them were women, and they always inspired me, encouraged me. So I'm very lucky, Chloe, that I had wonderful mentors in my life.
No, that's fantastic. I think everyone needs a supportive mentor and in their life just to keep them going. Hey, so
it's just you need like a role model in your life. It's not only about men. Your mentors can be role models in your life. We always, I think the most effective way to teach someone is to set up an example yourself. I think that's what mentors do. They were great examples of female scientists in their lives, and I followed them.
Yes. Yeah. Oh gosh, the role. That's the role of role models.
Yes,
it's so important. Yeah. So I really want to thank you, Shamaruh, for sharing your stories and insights with us today. We've heard about how you broke away from the mold and became a scientist among a family of non-scientists, and how you've overcome challenges of working behind a radioactive shield for 3 hours.
Yeah.
and how important it is to have a conversation with people, to help them work out what they want to do in their life, share their passion, share their purpose, and to help them achieve that. So, Shamaruh, would you like to tell people how we can find out more about SiTara's story?
Yes, you can visit our website, www.sitarastory.com. We are quite active on Facebook and Instagram. And yes, that's how you can find SiTara's story.
Fantastic. So thanks again for sharing, and we wish you all the best with your course. Now, I will also add the link to the show notes so that the listeners can check out your website, Facebook, and Instagram and follow your work there. So we've reached the end of our show. I want to thank everyone for listening. Now, if you've enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with others or leave a rating and review. If you have any questions about the things you've covered in the show or would like to follow my projects, please find me on Instagram and LinkedIn. Thanks for tuning in today, and I'll see you at the next episode.
Thanks for listening to the Called Voices in STEM podcast. Get the show notes, links and resources from today's episode by visiting drchloelim.com.